Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of What I Crush. Today, I am joined by two of my favorite people. First, we have Zach Castillo, who is the owner of the Castillo Group. Zach, take a minute and introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks, Jordan. Name is Zach Castillo. I am here in San Antonio, Texas. Have my wife, she's also my business partner. She runs our buyer division. I run our listing division. And we have a beautiful little girl named Emma. That is us.
And last year, Zach is extremely modest and won't brag on himself, so I have to do it for him. It's what I love about him. Zach's team last year closed 311 sides.
Yeah, yes,
and
yeah, 311.
78.5 million in closed volume. And then we're joined here today with Ryan Cover. Ryan, introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So my name is Ryan. Like Jordan said, I'm in charge of our inside sales department. We have 4 other ISAs apart from me. I myself am a 6-figure ISA producer, and am training my ISAs to be the same. And I've been in the business for a little over 4 years, and have on average a set to held ratio of over 70%.
So Ryan has been in the ISA chair or training ISAs for all 4 years, right, Ryan?
That's correct, yes.
And for those of you who know, ISA years are like dog years. So he's been in that position for almost 30 years, which is really great. So today, guys, we're talking about internet lead generation and conversion, right? And you guys do this at a high level. And my first question is, why should we work internet leads in the first place? Why should this be part of our lead generation model?
Yeah, so really we jumped into the internet lead generation because it's been, as we're growing our team and adding in buyer agents and listing agents, that was an opportunity where we saw them to be able to call and lead generate. It was an extension of our systems and models that our agents were able to grab in and get the road running. So when we do get a new agent come in, we have a huge lead pool that they're able to start calling. And then now where our team is transitioned is now our inside sales department manages and calls all those leads. So that's an opportunity for them. So at the end of the day, look at it as it's growth for our team. And if it needs to be one of our lead levers in order for us to be able to continue pouring value into our team members.
I love that. And how do I know if I'm ready to add internet lead generation to my sources of leads?
So that's a good question, because I did it the wrong way. I did it like reverse. And so as my first year, me and Mariana first opened our team, we got internet leads before we were ready. And the way we rated that is we did not have any systems, any models, any scripts, or anything set up to when a new lead came in, what would we do? So what I realized at the moment is we needed to have those systems and models in order to assure that when a lead comes in, they will be taken care of. Because as we jumped into internet lead generation, there is a cost per lead that came into it. And in the beginning, it's a lot higher than what it is now. And we were starting about $12 to $14 a lead. And so as we started realizing, it's like, okay, if we don't nail this down, we're literally grabbing, a $10 bill and putting it down the shredder every time someone signed up on our website or aspects of that. So we knew, so when people ask me, when are you ready? I come into it as, well, do you have systems in order to do auto plans for your leads? Do you have a person who is able to call those leads if you're not able to? And so really when people ask me that, it's a lot of different aspects. It's not just, can I call and be scripted? It's, do you have the systems? Do you have the people? And do you have the coaching and training to be able to do that as well too?
Love that. Okay. And we'll dig in on the systems and some of the tips and tricks and best practices of that right later when we get into the conversion side of this. One of the things that you mentioned to me, and I think Ryan might have mentioned this up when we were preparing for this, is the importance of a lead generation schedule. Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so general rule of thumb that we like to use for agents, producing agents, at least 3 hours of lead gen. You have a full-time ISA, it's about 6 hours of lead gen. So usually we break that down. Morning is the best time, usually for agents, since they have appointments and showings in the afternoon. So anytime from 8 to 11 or 9 to 12. However, the best contact hours are 8 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. The best contact days are Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then for our ISAs, you got the 3 hours in the morning and then 3 hours in the afternoon. We like to be around that 4 to 5 o'clock window. 4 to 6 is the best. So, knowing the importance of staying a little bit later. And for the agents that I talk to, across the country, when they do have showings or appointments in the morning, they definitely reschedule their lead generation time in the afternoon. They don't just put it off. So make sure it goes back into your calendar. And general rule of thumb for the agents is 3 hours, ISA is 6 hours. So having your schedule
Okay.
matched to that.
So if you were hiring an ISA tomorrow, Ryan, then your schedule to them would be 6 hours a day generating leads. And will you say those best days and times again to call? Will you say that one more time?
Yes. So the best hours, 8 to 9 a.m., 4 to 5 p.m. The best contact days are Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So why is having a lead generation schedule important to the generation of leads? Like, why is that something that you brought up?
Well, it's all just based on a numbers game and conversion. So it's allowing yourself the best opportunity to have the best conversion rates possible. So Jordan, I'd love to talk a little bit about some of those conversion rates with the internet leads. If you're all right to jump into that.
Yeah, let's go for it. What should we
Okay.
expect there?
Yeah, so our team tracks for all the internet leads. We want a 25% connected rate. So that means we get a hold of them. They have a valid number. They text us back. We know that that's a good lead. So out of every 4 leads, one of them connected. That's our goal. Usually we're seeing about a 10% contact to set rate with internet leads. Okay, contact to set. The whole big picture, though, we're looking at a 3% lead lead conversion rate to booked appointment. So out of every 100 leads, you're hoping about 3 appointments. I've seen it as high as 6%. General rule of thumb, 100 leads, 3% appointments from those. So that's where we get from 1 out of every 4 leads. If we have 100 leads come in through the internet, about 25 contacts, which would result in about 2.5 appointments. That's what our team is averaging, and that's where we get that 3% range. On a good month, you're seeing as high as 4 or 5 into the 6% range. So peak seasons, summertime, things like that can pick up into the over 3% conversion to booked appointment.
And then the booked appointment, like if you're getting that 3%, it's got to be, if we're trying to factor book to close, that's probably dependent upon the experience of the realtor or the agent, right? Because a more experienced agent like Zach is going to have a much better booked to closed percentage than an agent who's maybe newer to the business or less skilled.
Correct.
Is that true?
Definitely.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And that's on our team, when we go back into making sure that you're ready, it's like having these things in place is important. And as we learn too, it's teaching and coaching the agents that are going on these appointments, because on the way that we structure it, some agents might not be ready for these appointments if they're not converting at that high level yet. And for it to really work, we've really looked at all that data to say, okay, who's the best agent to take on these leads, to close them, to assure that we, at the end of the day, the return on investment is there.
Got it. Okay. So Zach, when you guys get into this or you see other teams that start internet lead generation, what are some of the expectations that you give them that they need to, like, what are the things people need to expect when they get into this lead source?
Yes. So kind of like what Ryan was saying, the connection rate we're aiming to, you're not going to talk to everyone. Not everyone has the right phone number. So just going in, just like any lead source, you have to realize it's going to take time to really build this out. If only 1 out of 4 people are able to actually connect with, and then only about 3 to 6% of them actually book an appointment, it's a numbers game, and you have to be okay with that. But as you're building it and going, it's not going to happen overnight. Now, have we got in a internet lead that came in on it one day? We met with them, got them under contract within a week. Yes, we do it. It does happen. Yet it takes about 6 to 9 months for you to start building up the business. And then that really true return on your investment comes back usually the year next or the year after, because you've been building your pipeline. So I share with everyone, if you jump into internet lead gen with social media and paid per click advertising, we want to focus on building your database and building building the Met database and continue to communicate with it, and realize the investment you're putting in will pay out in the future.
Okay, so if you're getting into this and you're expecting it to be what the expectation is that the dollars you're spending today are probably not going to pay you until late this year or 2022.
Correct. And even in today's market, because this is mostly buyer leads. I mean, we're trying to nail down the seller lead conversion, but this one is solely buyer leads that are coming in. Today's market, if they're not fully prepared, me and Ryan have to change our strategy. We're now only looking for super qualified buyers to meet with our agents versus the buyers who need down payment assistance or they need closing costs paid. We're now having to shift that. So some of these might be even further down depending on how the market is. So really our biggest goal is just communicating with these people. And as you communicate with more people, the timelines will all fall in place, and you'll start seeing when will these people close and when will the money be coming in. But as of right now, the majority of everyone we're closing are people we met with or they came in last year.
Got it. Okay. So it's definitely the long game. So Zach, I wanted to touch on 2 things. As far as where you're generating these leads from, I think you said it, pay-per-click and social media. Are there particular types of ads that you find to be most effective? Or if somebody is looking to add this in and start generating leads, where would you encourage them to start?
Great question. So we utilize 2 sources. One of them is Google paid per click advertising, which we run that through, we're on the Boomtown platform. So they do manage those ads for us. I do know there's a lot of companies out there that manage pay per click advertising. So that's more of a keyword structure that I'm not 100% sure how they utilize that. But I have seen in homes for sale in San Antonio, we pop up at the top. That's usually the biggest grab. But where we should really shine is on the Facebook and Instagram ads. About 4 or 5 years ago, I went to a class on it, and really we focused on what is a great ad to buyers. So of course, there's like your one listing ad showing, oh, I just listed this house. That's a great one. But what we saw the biggest opportunity was for popular home searches in San Antonio. So last year with COVID, our biggest one that we ran into is people wanting to have homes with a pool, and they wanted it to usually be under $400,000. And so I started creating ads, and I would capture like the best photo that I could grab of one of my listings I've had with a pool. And I said, browse all the hottest San Antonio homes with a pool under $400,000. Had a great shot. When they clicked on that link, it took them to search results, and they would get the properties they were looking for. And of course, it's a forced registration. Now I have tested this in Command as well too. You can do the same thing. You just have to link your website up correctly and follow the Command ads. But the concept of it that we were focusing on was popular home searches. So it all depends on your area, but of course we know there's low inventory. So I try and broaden those search terms, but really it's the ones that I'm seeing are the most popular. And so anytime I have about 3 to 4 ads going up of what I'm seeing our buyers running into, and the biggest is a great photo, a great caption, and a really strong search result that has enough properties. And if you launch that in one day, you should have result. You should get a lead within the first hour to 2 hours of it being active. If you don't, then I switch it up.
So that's kind of your litmus test of an hour. Is there a certain time during the day that you post? Is there any science behind that you follow?
I usually will, if I am gonna start a post, I usually start it early in the day for it to go live, just because that gives it enough for people who are at work, people going in lunch breaks. I won't say that there's like a popular time or not, but I will know I have a better chance of getting leads that day to really examine that data to make sure it worked out. Now on the weekends, the weekend traffic is the highest. So if you do have a good ad, the weekend will be a good test for you to know right away if it's working or not. So a lot of our leads, if we look at the percentage of registration, a majority of them are on Saturday and Sunday.
Got it. Okay. I love that. Real quick, and then we're going to shift gears into lead conversion. What do you think people should be looking for as far as a dollar per lead, or what's too much? I know that that's a tough question to answer because not all internet leads are created equal, but where do you think people should shoot there, Zach?
Yeah, so with Google pay per click, I will say we do have a higher quality of leads that come in that route, which means there is a higher cost for it. Those we're looking in, you'd want to be anywhere between $10 to $12 a lead for those. That's a pretty good amount. I will say during like the holidays, we ran into it during the election. That dollar per lead went up because of the amount of ad space out. So we monitor that very, very close. But we ideally want to say $10 to $12 a lead for that. Now on Facebook or social media, Instagram, I'm trying to stay around $5 a lead on those aspects. If I see it go over 5, I analyze a little bit more, and then I'll switch it up. And usually when I switch it up, it's usually the photo. It wasn't a good enough capture of a photo for them to stop scrolling. And so with Facebook and Instagram, I utilize their software to manage those ads. And right there, it tells me right away what my cost per lead is, what my cost per click is, and all those aspects. So I would try and save $5, maybe $6 on those leads at the highest.
Love that. Okay, cool. All right. So at the beginning of this, you guys said, you need to have this system set up because let's face it, generating the lead in today's world, especially with command, that's easy. And yet the thing I hear over and over and over again, they're not good leads. Their internet leads don't work, whatever. It's kind of like the new age open house lead. And so, Ryan, when you said you need to have the system set up, like, what are the ingredients of that? Like, what do I have to have in order to convert at a high level?
Yeah, so great point. I'm glad you brought that up. One important, point and factor I want to state is, a lot of people who do have internet leads only call a certain amount of times. I will say to strive for 6 call attempts. Okay. 30% of leads are never contacted, right? You're on to the next ones. You're on to the new. What's new? What's new? Right? Nobody follows up. Leads that are called 6 times give you the best chance of them actually calling you back or picking up the phone. Less than 5%, Jordan, of sales reps and agents call that many times.
Yep.
So I will tell you, 6 minimum before you even think about transferring out to a bigger pond or anything like that. Also response time. So one of our strategies on our team is to, speed to lead. Responding within the first 5 minutes as opposed to the 10 minutes increases the odds by 400% of you actually converting that lead into a client. Okay, so 5 minutes versus 10 minutes. It's the mere fact that Jordan, when we get a lead and they're online, it's top of mind, right? They're on the website, they're thinking about it. When you call them, it's something that they're already doing. It's the act, they're thinking about it, so they're more open to talking about it. Waiting longer, they're off the computer and they're doing other things. You're more than likely not going to get a hold of them as easy. So 5 minutes versus 10 minutes increases the odds of 400% of you converting that lead into a client, and then calling 6 times minimum, right? Less than 5% of sales reps call the lead that many times. So don't be that percentage. What we do when a new lead comes in, we do have a strategy. Usually the first day they comes in, minimum 2 call attempts for that day, right? They come in, we call them right away. They don't answer. We want to change them to a category that's an untouched category. For our team, they're the qualified list, right? So once we change them to that category, they're automatically on a drip campaign. So I would say to have a campaign set up automatically starting whenever you don't get a hold of a client and they change category. Then you're going to let the CRM or that drip campaign help you out. And you also want to get focused on calling that list of untouched leads a certain amount of times per day. You know, for us, all of our inside sales agents are calling it at different times. And for the team too, it's definitely something that's important and that's appealing is that, hey, they're going to be uploaded to the hopper list if nobody's gotten a hold of them for a certain amount of time, and it's fair game to anybody. So, you know, how many times build a schedule around how can we connect with these untouched leads, and are we setting ourselves up for a good opportunity to reach the 6 call attempts minimum? Because not many teams are, and they don't have the schedule to follow that.
So Ryan, a couple of things on that. So one, do you guys send out text messages if that you don't catch them on the call? And if so, what do they say?
Yeah, so we've toyed with this back and forth. I will tell you, ours is very unique. We actually say, so if you register Jordan, you don't answer, I change you to qualified, it'll say, hi, is this Jordan? And immediately they usually respond right away. Now, what we've seen in the past is we said, hey, you know, hey, Jordan, this is Ryan with the Castillo Real Estate Group. I noticed you had checked out our real estate site, and they don't respond because they're like, oh, I know who this is. You know, I don't know if I want to talk to this guy yet. Actually, by saying, hi, is this Jordan? We immediately know, is this a good number? And they responded. So the likelihood of them engaging you, you know, when you do send that text of, hey, it's actually Ryan with the Castillo Real Estate Group. I noticed you had checked out a real estate site. They're more likely to respond because they've already responded. They like showed their card, right?
Mhm.
So we've actually gotten a little bit more of an increase in communication. And we do, Jordan, I will say, we have pivoted our mindset from a couple years back to actually counting this as a contact if I can find out their motivation and time frame. Okay. So texting is really big in this game, you know, in this day and age. If we can find out what their motivation and time frame is through the text, we actually count it as a contact because we are changing their category, you know, corresponding to what they say and setting a to do. Right.
Got it.
Our main goal after each conversation, Jordan, is to find out when and why are we following up? Why are we following up and when are we following up? If we can answer that question, what we learned about them, we're good to go.
That's the goal, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily to like get an appointment right away. You know, that's probably a mistake that people make is it's like, let's get married before we even date, right? And
Right.
so they come on way too strong with the person, right? Zach loves my analogies, by the way. He's one of the very few people who thinks I'm funny. So on the
They're pretty funny. I like them.
yeah, on the text, real quick, Ryan, we just had a question come in. Is that all in Twilio, or do you do that from your own number? What's the texting service that you guys are using?
So actually, Boomtown has their own texting service. They actually give us a Boomtown number. So it's not our personal number. And we're able to create drip campaigns that send automated text and emails. So
Okay.
it's totally through Boomtown.
It's kind of like Twilio if we do it in the command side, and they're separate, which is important because when we call on our personal number. We text them through Boomtown, so the consumer does not connect the dots that we're the same person.
Okay. So let's just say you get somebody on the line, Ryan. Would you mind walking us through the outline of the script that you use?
Yes, perfect. So ring, ring.
Hello.
You answer. Hey, Jordan, this is Ryan with the Castillo Real Estate Group. I noticed you had actually just checked out a real estate site. Wanted to reach out and introduce myself and my team and see what sparked your interest to start looking at some homes.
Yeah, we're just kind of looking around right now. I saw that one, you know, popped up about a pool, so that's why I filled that out.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, pool here in South Texas is definitely important. So what is it that you're exactly looking for in this new home?
Well, something bigger, and we definitely want something with a pool.
Bigger and with a pool. So what does bigger look like for you?
Okay, so timeout. So does everybody see what he's doing right here? Because I don't know that it's so much what the script is as the way that he's Okay, it's called keyword backtracking. Everybody know what that is? You see how he's taking my words and feeding them back to me? So Ryan, I love that. And so let's go back into the script. I think that's awesome. And so bigger to me, Ryan, is I'm looking for something that's probably at least 5 bedrooms and 27 to 3,000 square feet.
Okay. And what would happen, Jordan? What would allow 5 bedrooms and 2,700 square feet do for you and your family? What would that do for you guys, having that?
Well, I'd be able to work from home better, and we also just want to have, the backyard with the pool, so the kids have something to do in the summer, and having people over. We like to entertain, all of those things.
Okay, awesome. Well, so you said a lot of things. So you work from home. That's awesome and exciting. What is it that you do?
I coach the finest real estate professionals on the face of the earth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know entertaining as well. That's very important for you to have that more space, especially for your kids. It sounds like you want this new house with more space for room to grow for you and your family. Is that right?
That's right.
And that's what's really motivating you to make this real estate move. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's right.
Perfect.
right.
And when would you want the keys to this new home with this more space, that yard, 2,700 square feet, and those extra bedrooms?
I would say we would want keys by July.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so glad we connected. I'm so glad we're in a position to help. Let's definitely see what we can do to make that happen. So, Jordan, have you started saving up for this new home?
Okay,
Right.
so
So
let's
that's
just
my
time out, right?
that's my
Yeah.
transition.
Okay, yeah. So I think that the important thing that everybody hears there is that he's not so scripted that it doesn't sound like a conversation, because I think what happens sometimes, and I've seen this and done it myself, is we get on script and we are focusing on just reading the next question instead of listening to what they're actually saying. And it sounds like what you guys are trying to establish is, number one, motivation, right? So what is driving this move? And then number two, timeline, because that gives you kind of well, what does a timeline do for you, Ryan? Why is that something that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I'll tell you real quick. I follow 4 basics of a conversation. Number one is motivation and timeline. I want to find
Okay.
out why they're buying and what's really motivating them. What's at the root of why they're even looking, right? And then when I say timeline, I don't say, when do you want a new home? I say, when would you like the keys to your new home?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very important. Based on that, if it falls within 4 to 5 months, we go into the prequal, which is number two, right? Prequal is, they saved up money. Are they in a position to buy? What's their credit score looking like? Do they have a job, consistent income, all that jazz? Based on that, we always go to number three. So the next step is, I want to outline clearly for them what the next step is. Am I going to set them up on a home search? Am I following up? Things like that. And then number four is the follow up. Am I booking an appointment, or am I setting them up on a home search and following up with them in a certain amount of months? So just to recap that again, motivation and timeline is number one, prequal number two. So the next step is number three, and follow up number four.
I love that. And so how soon do you try to meet them in person or with Zoom? Do you have like kind of like when they have a timeline, does it make more sense to push for the appointment if they're within this timeline versus this timeline? Is there any science behind that?
4 months is a sweet spot. I always like to say 4 months. If they're 6 months out, we want to hold off just a little bit, but we are asking if they're open to new construction home. Because I will tell you, if we don't ask that question sometimes, and if they are interested in it, the next time we call, they're like, oh, I'm under contract. My home is being built right now. We're just broke ground. And that's something that we definitely don't want to hear on the phone. So if they're about 6 months, even 7 months out, we need to ask that question. And a lot of agents don't. So 4 months, though, if they're wanting a resale home, older community, things like that, that's the sweet spot where we want to get in front of them. For buyers. Sellers, it's usually 2 to 4 months, that time frame. But we want to get in front of them, this market especially.
I love that. Okay, so you guys, we're at the bottom of the hour here. I know we've covered a lot, and as always, we will put this in the recap email. Make sure that if you want to be receiving the recap emails from these, that you go to Maps Coach Jordan. We've recently got a facelift on that site and would love your feedback, and to subscribe to the newsletter. And so just to like wrap this up, anything that I haven't brought up, anything that you have to mention before we end today's call?
I will say for our, on the team leader side, actually the return on investment, what that is looking like. So for Google pay per click, people always asking what is that return? We're looking at about a 4 times return on our investment. So if I spend $1, I'm making $4. Facebook, on the other hand, I've been seeing 6 to 8 times return on investment. Yet Facebook is higher quantity, lower quality. Google pay per click is low quantity, higher quality. You do them together, kind of get that right middle balance, which we really like. And so just know that, again, it takes 6-9 months to see that return, but you want to shoot for 4 to 7 times return on investment of what you're looking at. If you're hitting that, it's doing well, and it becomes a fun game of just investing back into your business, because I don't think you can make that type of return on the stock market.
Nope, you can't. And if you are, please call me. I have some dollars for you. Ryan, any parting words?
Patience game, right? Yeah, it's all in, if you do the right things consistently, the money will follow. That's our mindset. If you do the right things consistently, the money will follow. Lead gen, stick to those activities.
I love that.
Oh, and just one thing to add, Jordan, and I forgot, we also treat every lead that comes in. We do not let that lead go until they tell us, 1, to never call them again, or 2, they are for sure committed with another agent, and there's no chance we can switch them over. Until those happen, they're still in our system. To this day, we have people who have been 4 or 5 years getting called still.
Love that. Okay. All right. Well, you guys, thank you for the investment of time here. And if you have anyone looking in the greater San Antonio area, please reach out to the Castillo Group, and Zach and Ryan and their entire organization will take great care of them. And thank you for being here today. Join us next week. We're going to be talking to Josh Anderson, who is a mega agent out of Nashville, about how to build a business through database and client events. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Hi there, and thank you for watching What I Crush. And if you're enjoying what we're putting down, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget the bell button, and check us out at whaticrush.com. We'll see you on our next episode.